Greetings, comrades. This is Andre Aguides Desjardins for another Brothers War Draft Booster Crack-a-Pack. Maybe I'll retroactively go and do some old sets, just so I can do some closing thoughts on the old sets, though it probably won't do you any good. I gotta do the, flipping around, commons, uncommons, and stuff. Excellent. Alright, so we're gonna start off with a Growling Warplow. It's a 6 mana 5/4 Death Touch, or more realistically, it's a black and a colorless 1/1 Death Touch. Perfectly playable card. Artifact is nice. The modality is really nice. The 1/1 Death Touch, of course, great early blocker. You need 2 drops. I'd be happy to play this in any black deck. I'd still, there are definitely cards I'd rather draft over it, though. Next up, Air Marshal. 1 blue, 1 colorless. 2/1. 3 mana, target soldier gains flying until end of turn. This is about playable in the Soldier's deck, and only in the Soldier's deck. It can give itself flying, but you probably want to give your other soldiers flying, or more than one soldier flying. You don't need to first pick this. This is really interchangeable. Blue's not a good color in this draft format. I would not be on this. Supply drop, 3 colorless, flash, artifact. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can only use +2/+2 until end of turn. That's a really expensive combat trick. And then for 4 mana, you can sack it to draw a card. So that's like a 7 mana investment, though it is over 2 turns, which is better. This is like number 23. Like if you're desperate for playables, you can put this in. It does a lot of things. The sacrifice, there is a sacrifice matters theme in this deck, but it doesn't do any of it particularly well. Even in like the sacrifice matters aggro deck where you could get both the combat trick and the sack thing, it's still really expensive. Ooh, here's a guy, Scrapwork Rager. 4 colors for 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose life, and you can unearth it for a black and 3 colorless. I love this card. It is definitely an underperformer in this format. Even though it draws the card, the 2/2 body for 4 isn't that great. It is probably correct to take the Plow over it, but I have a real soft spot in my heart for Scrapwork Rager, because I love Phyrexian Rager, but it's probably correct to take the Warplow over it, to start with. Power Plant Worker, that's 5 mana for an assembly worker, and for 3 mana, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and if you control all 3 workers, so the Tron workers, Power Plant, Tower, and mine, it gets a +1+, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. I actually think, especially if you get some of the self-assembler cards in your bonus slot, that this, you can actually draft one of the Tron decks per table. That being said, I'm not going for it. Like it's something, it'd be like Plan B or Plan C, but it certainly is fun. And I think if you can see these self-assemblers, it really helps that deck. Alright, Paragon Strongbolt. 1 red, 2 colorless. For a 2/3, sacrifice an artifact. It's +1/+1 till end of turn and deals damage to an opponent. Very good card for the red, any of the red aggro decks. You'll probably have extra Power Stones, tokens you can use to finish things off. Also surprisingly good with the Sibling Rivalry, the steal, because there's a lot of good artifacts you can steal. I got to steal, they tapped 5 mana for this guy, and I got to steal it and sacrifice it to the Strongbolt after attacking with it. That was a good time. So, yeah, Strongbolt, having sacrifice outlets is really important, and that one being at 1 mana, pretty good for the red decks, especially if you're sack and sealing, but it is playable in just the aggro decks. Not playable is a Moment of Defiance. Target creature gets +2/+1 against lifelink until end of turn. Draw a card. 3 mana for a combat trick. Not great. It often doesn't save the creature. There's a lot of low toughness creatures, so often the +1 toughness boost doesn't matter. Yeah, you gain some life back. That's not a huge thing in this format. Yeah, I'm not on this card. Like, even if you can get your opponent with it, like holding up 3 mana if they suspect you have it and not attacking and just play something and say go is a disaster for you. Yeah, I'm not for this combat trick. There are some very good combat tricks in this format, and I don't think this is one of them. Survivor of Krolos is a 1/1 first strike for a mana, a human soldier, and you can exile it from your graveyard to scry 2. The fact it has first strike is surprisingly eventful because there's a lot of one-toughness creatures. Still, you probably are just playing it in the mono white soldiers deck. It's filler. There are a lot of good white commons. I haven't opened any of them. But this, I'd be surprised if you were happy to play it, though. It can get in there. It can jam. It's fine. Mightstone's Animation. Blue and 3 for an enchantment or enchant artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Enchanted artifact is a base power and toughness 4/4 in addition to its other types. This is, blue's not great in this format. This is a playable blue card. It does ask you to jump through some hoops, though, to get a 4/4. In fact, it draws a card to replace itself, good, but I don't want to start here. If you end here, that's fine. If you can make a lot of power stones and you need to animate them, that's fine. It's one of the better things to do, but I'd rather start off at like baseline, just does good things for you. Ooh, here we go. Gaia's Gift. 1 green, 1 colorless. For an instant, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains reach, trample, hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. Speaking of, I was saying about there's good combat tricks, this is an amazing combat trick. Indestructible, hexproof means it's your creature's guaranteed to live through it. The +1/+1 counter is permanent, and like there's a lot of times where you can attack, the trample will push damage to, and your opponent will be like, well, I lose to Gaia's Gift. And it also has the secret block mode of +1/+1 in reach. So like they're attacking with their flyer, and you just get to make an indestructible guy to block and probably kill it. So bye chumps. That's the pick so far. Ooh, a Power Stone token. Nice. Let's see if any uncommon or rare. Mishra's Bauble. For all you non-modern aficionados, 0 mana, sacrifice, look at the top card of target player's library, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn, upkeep. I've found this actually, it doesn't do anything normally, but I found this surprisingly playable in this format. It helps aggressive decks run 16 lands, better than 17, because lower curve decks run 16 as opposed to 17. And there is a when you sacrifice something matters theme, and it really helps along with that too for the price of some tempo. So it's a very good card. I still would take the combat trick over it, but just a lot of times people see a card like this and know it's good and constructed, so they'll think it's great and limited. It's not great, but it's still playable. Alright, nope, that's the rare. Don't want to go there, dum-dum. Big dum-dum. Alright, Branchwood Armor. 1 green, 2 colorless, enchantment or enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each forest you control. This is one of the better all types matters because you don't need to be like mono green to have this good, though it's best in mono green. But if you're in like a 10 forest 7 other deck, this gets better. I would say Corrupt's the other one that's really good. And in this format I find you can, with enough artifacts, you can draft a monocolor deck where you like do have green, a lot of artifacts, and then get to use this. Corrupt's obviously the best one for that. And also, if you have these, be on the lookout for Elsewhere Flasks, just for a one-time big bonus, because they can convert all your lands to a mana color. But like, don't put this in your 7 and 8 deck. Like, just don't. It's not going to be enough most of the time. The enchantment, of course, opens you up to a lot of risk and vulnerability. But if you're, mono green artifact, yes, just giving something +6/+6 is going to help win the game. Or this one, if you want a creature enchantment, you can do it in a 10x deck. You really need a lot of force, and you either need all force or you really want the enchantment aura. And don't play it in your 8/7 deck no matter what. Alright, Defabricate. 1 blue, 1 colorless. Instant, choose 1. Counter target artifact enchantment spell. Exile something from his graveyard. Or counter target activated or triggered ability. Yeah, haven't seen a lot of this, nor have I been very impressed by it. I thought, like, there are a lot of artifact enchantment spells you want to counter at 2 mana, but a lot of the good 2 mana plays are also creatures, and it doesn't counter that, and after turn 2, it's hard to keep it up. Like, you really want to hit something on turn 2. Maybe if they have like a worm coil engine, you need to counter the trigger ability when you kill it the first time. You can side it in, but you probably shouldn't play this. Go for the throat. 1 black, 1 colorless instant, destroy target non-artifact creature. Yes, there are a lot of artifact creatures in this format. Yes, Go for the Throat is still a fantastic removal spell. There are still a lot of color creatures you need to kill. And the rare is Phyrexian Dragon Engine. 3 mana for a 2/2 double strike. When it enters the battlefield from my graveyard, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards, and it has Unearth for 2 red and 3 colorless. So I'm slam dunking picking this because a 3 mana 2/2 double strike is just fantastic as it is. And if you're in red, this is going to help refuel your hand. So I would love this. I would love to get into a red-white aggro deck or a red-black steel and sack deck. All right, thank you for your time, comrades, and have a good day.